What if I told you that the world's first democracy destroyed itself? Athens, the birthplace of democracy, philosophy, and art, rose to unprecedented power. But behind its brilliance lurked fear, pride, and political miscalculation. Today, we explore how Athens' democracy fell and what it teaches us about power. Greece was not one nation, but a collection of powerful city-states. Athens ruled the seas with its mighty navy. Sparta controlled the land with disciplined hoplite warriors. Tensions grew, alliances formed, and the stage was set for a conflict that would last 27 years, the Peloponnesian War. This war wasn't just fought with swords. It was fought in the halls of government and political debates and through decisions made by ordinary citizens. Athens' democracy gave its people a voice. But could it withstand fear, ambition, and the pressures of war? Ancient Greece was not a unified country. It was a collection of independent city-states, each with its own government, military, and identity. Among them, two rose above the rest: Athens and Sparta. Though they had once fought together against the Persian Empire, peace between them would not last. Athens became a maritime superpower. Its navy dominated the Aegean Sea, protecting trade routes and projecting influence far beyond its borders. Wealth flowed into the city. Art, philosophy, and democracy flourished under this growing empire. Sparta was different. It valued discipline, military strength, and order above all else. Spartan boys were trained from childhood to become soldiers. Their society was built for war, efficient, ruthless, and feared. After defeating Persia, Athens formed the Delian League, an alliance meant to protect Greek states from future invasions. But over time, the alliance became an empire. Member states were forced to pay tribute. Those who tried to leave were punished. Sparta watched carefully and grew increasingly suspicious. As Athens grew stronger, fear began to spread across Greece. The Delian League was no longer just an alliance, it was becoming an empire. City-states that tried to leave were punished. Tribute payments increased. Athens built walls, expanded fleets, strengthened control, and Sparta watched carefully. To Sparta, this was no longer balance, it was domination. Sparta was not a naval power. It was a land-based military state built on discipline and fearlessness. But Sparta understood one thing clearly. If Athens continued expanding, Sparta's influence would disappear. And in politics, fear is often more powerful than aggression. Smaller conflicts began pulling the two giants closer to war. Disputes involving Corinth, trade sanctions against Megara, alliances forming and breaking. Every small crisis deepened mistrust. Finally, in 431 BCE, Sparta declared war on Athens. Greece would never be the same again. The Peloponnesian War had begun. Athens relied on its navy and city walls. Sparta relied on its unstoppable land army. This was no longer a rivalry. It was a struggle for survival. Each year, Sparta marched into Athenian territory. They burned crops, destroyed farms, ravaged the countryside, but Athens refused to fight on land. Instead, its people retreated behind massive defensive walls, trusting their navy to strike from the sea. It was a strategy of endurance, not glory. Thousands of rural citizens flooded into Athens for protection. The city became overcrowded, streets packed, sanitation strained. And in this chaos, something far worse than Spartan swords arrived. In 430 BCE, a deadly plague swept through Athens. It killed soldiers, civilians, leaders. Fear spread faster than the disease itself. The historian Thucydides described scenes of despair, bodies in the streets, faith collapsing, law breaking down. Nearly 1/3 of the population perished. Among the dead was Pericles, the visionary leader of Athens. With his death, Athens lost not only a strategist, but its stabilizing force. Leadership became unstable, decisions became reckless, and Sparta sensed opportunity. What began as a contest of power was becoming a war of attrition. The confidence of Athens was fading, and the balance of Greece was slowly tipping. In 415 BCE, Athens made a bold and dangerous decision. It launched a massive naval expedition to conquer Sicily. The goal was wealth, power, and total dominance over the Mediterranean, but ambition, when unchecked, can become fatal. The campaign turned into catastrophe. Athenian forces were surrounded, supplies ran out, reinforcements failed, thousands of soldiers were killed or captured. The once proud Athenian fleet was destroyed. Seeing opportunity, Persia stepped in. Persian gold funded Sparta's navy. The balance of power shifted permanently. Athens was no longer untouchable. By 404 BCE, Athens was starving, its fleet shattered, its allies gone. Sparta blockaded the city by land and sea. There would be no miracle rescue. Athens surrendered. Its walls were torn down, its empire dissolved. Sparta had won. But victory came at a cost. Greece was exhausted, divided, and vulnerable, paving the way for a new power to rise: Macedon.